Hey guys, different video today. I'm going to be talking about my least favorite specs right now for PvP. This is pretty much just based on personal opinion and personal experience. If you guys don't know, I play Battlegrounds on a lot of tunes. God, that sounds fucking annoying. Let's just log in on the Warlock. So this is no order. No, like, it's not, this is the worst, this is the worst, this is the worst. Pretty much all these are pretty bad right now. First, Demonology Warlock. Poor damage. Your pets don't get their casts off half the time. Demonic Tyrant is buggy to shit. All the talents kind of suck. I could go on about this so long. So pretty much what Warlocks used to be, right? They used to be maybe like a plate, not plateware, maybe mailware. Like, not as squishy as a mage or a priest. Even priests are more tanky than Warlocks now. Ironically, because Warlocks originally were supposed to be the tanky caster class. They were like that for a few expansions. I believe even in Cataclysm they're kind of tanky. They kind of fell out the tankiness after Wrath of the Lich King, if I remember correctly, and now we're just really squishy, very immobile, not tanky at all, very poor damage. We do have good utility. That's like the one thing we bring to the table. Other than that, at least for Demo, there's really just not much to it. All the talents, I think, are pretty poor. There's really, I mean, Call of Fellowlords is probably that one staple Demonology talent that every Demonology Warlock takes because it's probably the best talent in that row. But when it comes down to, like, everything else, I mean, I've heard Vile Fiend. I'm just going to go through the talents real quick. When your Dreadstalkers charge, their attacks now hit all targets within 8 yards for 25% more damage. All targets within 8 yards. 8 yards is very short. 25% damage buff, not much. This one's probably the best talent out of the whole fucking tree. Infuse your Felguard with Demonic Strength and command it to charge your target and unleash a Fellstorm that will deal 400% increased damage. This is like the one good thing about Demo. I haven't tried Bile Scourge Bombers. I've tried on to targets on me, they don't really do much. Power Siphon I think is the best here. Doom. Let's talk about Doom. It was baseline in Legion. It was good. It did damage. I think after 15 seconds, generated soul shards, did good damage, and was a. You could apply it with Hand of Gul'dan and all that shenanigans, but now they didn't make it baseline. They took it away from our baseline ability lineup and put it into a talent, which is red flag right there of game design. And now it's a talent, and we just don't have it anymore. Therefore, you don't really take it because it's pretty much hot garbage now. Causes 10,000 damage over 30 seconds. I could do the math in my head right now. I think that's like 600 DPS every second, which is 600's definitely not right. I think it's 60. Yeah, something like that. I really don't know. Something like that. Pretty much what I'm trying to get at is Doom does no damage. It's not baseline anymore, doesn't do any damage. It only summons a Doom Guard when it kills a target. If Doom kills a target, there's a 5% chance, very low percent chance, keep in mind, to summon a Doom Guard to fight for you for 25 seconds. We don't even have Doom Guard anymore as a baseline ability, I think. Yeah, no, not there. Yeah, we have summon Demonic Tyrant now, which is increases damage done by your minions by 15%. But half the time when you do cast this guy, he doesn't get half his abilities off and also doesn't last very long. Demonic Calling, Shadow Bolt, and Demon Bolt have a 20% chance to make your next Call of Dreadstalkers cost 1 less Soul Shard and have no cast time. I don't even want to talk about that. It's bad. Don't take it. Because it's the same thing here. I mean, you can take it, but I think Power Siphon's better. Dark Pact is Dark Pact. Soul Strike, I think, is the best talent here. From the Shadows sucks dick. Summon Vile Fiend sucks. Soul Strike just generates a Soul Shard, does 2,000 shadow damage. It's okay. It's nothing amazing, but, you know, it's an instant cast. Charges your pet towards the target. That's the only reason I use it. But yeah, there's just no good talents here. Demonic Consumption just doesn't make sense to me because it consumes all of your wild imps, which have 2 uses, which is Implosion or just Soul Shard, not Soul Shard generation, Demon Bolt generation. I feel like what's happened to Warlock over time is they've taken such a unique class. Because in Wrath of the Lich King, say, Demolocks had Demon form, They had the chance to have multiple pets. They had Immolate. They still had Immolate. They had Corruption, I believe. I don't even think they had Agony. I think Agony was... It might have been Affliction specific. But I know for sure they had Immolate and Corruption. Now the only thing we have to really cast is Shadow Bolt and Hand of Gul'dan. That's pretty bad. You don't want a class to have 2 abilities that you use as a filler ability. I think it was so overpowered in Legion. At least Affliction was. I don't even think Demo was overpowered in Legion. I don't think Demo's been OP since, I think it was Warlords or Mop that it was strong. I can't remember correctly, but pretty much we went from tanky, strong, high damage person to, with Demon Form, keep in mind. Demon Form gave you 600% armor. Pretty much one of the best abilities in the game, in the history of WoW, in my opinion. And they got rid of it some expansions ago. And now we're just, you know, we're just a piece of meat ready to get eaten by the current melee meta and mages and everything. The one chance of winning we have is against mages because we kind of counter them, but man, Demo's rough, guys. Demo is very rough. If you are playing a Warlock, play Destro, play Affliction. Just don't play Demo till they fix it, because Doom's not baseline anymore. Your pet dies all the time. You can have 2 foul guards out. I mean, hey, whoopee. 25% increased damage on that second Doom guard, but not much. God, there's just not a whole lot that Demonology has to offer over, you know, the other 2 Warlock specs. And when you compare it to other classes, it just looks pathetic. Like comparing this to Fire Mage or, you know, any caster that actually has mobility, has more than 2 abilities to press, and has self-heals, anything else that, you know, Warlocks can't offer. Warlocks, just compared to other casters, pretty shit right now. So, whenever I mention Warlocks, by the way, I mean Demonology Warlocks. This is a focus on Demonology Warlocks. Affliction's fine. I've seen Maldiva playing it at very high-rated 2s or 3s. Destro's fine. I mean, I've been seeing it in Arena as well. It still performs pretty well with those huge Chaos Bolts. Affliction's more like, you know, just the damage, pressure, and then Drain Life melts. So, yeah. Going over to the next class here, we have... Let's see here. Let's look. Windwalker Monk. So the next class that I think is very weak right now is Windwalker Monk. I don't really have much to say about this. I used to like Windwalker a lot because Fist of Fury used to stun. It stunned in Legion, I think, as well. Now they got rid of it. Now Fist of Fury just does damage, reduces physical damage you take by 60% as long as you hit the target. And the debuff on that 60% damage reduction only lasts probably 2 seconds, maybe 1 second. So they just wait till that debuff's off, and then they do their burst if they know what they're doing. Going over talents and general playstyle, I mean, Windwalkers have always been the, oh, I'm so mobile, it's gonna be a bitch to hit me. And now, I mean, they're still mobile, but I think the damage they had the potential to do, like in Legion, they did pretty good damage. In past expansions, Mop, Wards of Draenor, I think they also did pretty good damage as well. But now we're I just did a battleground. There will be a video of it too, because I got tilted a little bit. I think we just hit for nothing right now. I was hitting Plate Wearers for 2,000. I was hitting Plate Wearers for 6,000 with Rising Sun Kick, which is our huge chi spender, which is supposed to do good damage. And then Fist of Fury probably hit for like 15,000 combined on Plate Wearers. Obviously, when you're not hitting Plate Wearers, you're going to be doing more damage. Say a Cloth Wearer, a Warlock, for instance. Probably you're going to shit on it as a Windwalker. But that's because he has no armor, no mobility, no nothing. You're literally the thing that you counter. Like, you're the class that counters Warlock. But right now, I just don't think our damage is up there. I don't think it's up there to be competitive with other specs. Example of this would be Rogue, which also brings huge amounts of crowd control. Rat Pally has self-heals, Bubble Bop. Fury has Commanding Shout, just way more damage. Going over just other melee classes that could just do better than this. Demon Hunters do way more damage. They have a lot of defensives. They even have a team immunity spell. Enhance, they just self-heals, hex. Insane damage right now. Feral has undispellable roots. Crazy damage when it comes to ferocious fight and spreading dots to everyone and the amount of pressure they can get off. Pretty much every other melee spec that's not a Death Knight has something to offer over Windwalker and more. And Windwalker's just, you know, if you get hit, I have Karma. Or if I get hit, I have Karma. If I get hit, I have Fortifying Brew. If I get hit, I have Dampen Harm. If I don't have those defensives after I use those, which I'm going to use every time someone hits me, because I'm super squishy, I apply that 5% damage reduction on people whenever you auto-attack someone. That is nice, but 5% damage isn't really that much, I'd say, to affect something heavily in PvP. Anytime you get trained for more than 10 seconds, you're going to have to use a cooldown, if your healer is CC'd. Whether that cooldown be Karma, Fortifying Brew, or Dampen Harm. Once you don't have those defensives, you're pretty much dead. That on top of the very low damage it does right now. It's not a spec I want to play. Personally, I think it's one of the worst specs right now. It's been so bad for the past patch that I've decided to go not Windwalker, Mistweaver. And I've been having fun with Mistweaver. It's a fun spec. I like it. I enjoy it. Same with Brewmaster. I like Brewmaster a lot. A lot of unique playstyles there. But with Windwalker, I just feels like it's the same thing it's been for 3 expansions now. You Rising Sun kick, you Blackout kick, you Tiger Palm, and you Fist of Fury. And that's it. That's how you play Windwalker. So, I don't know. I think there's just not much to offer with this. It's really squishy. Your only terms of, like, not dying would be, you know, using your mobility to get away, which is the huge incentive, or not incentive, but the huge play style behind Windwalker, which people can just ignore in PvP because they just switch to another target once you portal away. But yeah, I think Windwalker is pretty poor right now. I think the one class that probably performs a little bit better, arguably, could be Death Knight, but every other melee spec I'd say performs far better than Windwalker. So yeah, that's number 2 on the shitty PvP specs. I've been playing Mistweaver a lot, honestly. I've gotten like 1600 rating in Mistweaver, and that was like, I think that 33 and 46 was from 1 week of Q. So yeah, let's go on to the next spec. Spoiler alert, it rhymes with Death Knight. Let's get into Death Knights, guys. Specifically Frost. I think Unholy's kind of in a good spot right now. It's not like in a powerful spot. Like, even Unholy's bad, but it can work. It can work with the right spec, or the right team. Frost, on the other hand, I tried it. Didn't like it. I think the damage it does now is very poor. As well, with the other specs. Obliterate hits for 5,000. If you want to make this viable, maybe make that hit for 10,000. Maybe it's because I don't have weapons. No, it's still... Okay, yep. Hits for nothing. Frost Strike hits very low, 2,000. For, like, a comparison of damage compared to other specs... I'm going to turn the music off. It's turned on. Oh, shit. So, comparison to other specs, damage-wise, Warlocks have a talent which sacrifices your pet and gives you a buff. That buff pretty much makes it so your damaging spells have a chance to inflict just extra damage on a target. That average hit of that talent hits for 2,000. Frost Strike hits for 2,000. Yeah. That's kind of all I have to say about that. Runic Dump hitting for 2,000. Runic Generator hitting for 5,000. Cost 2 ruins. So, using all of our ruins, we can do 15,000 damage. Wowee, that's a lot of damage. I mean, whenever I look at damage, whenever I was playing Death Knight in Arena, specifically Frost Fever was always top damage. It's not a good sign when the dot... This is supposed to be like the single target. Do good damage not with dot specs. Like, you're supposed to do good damage with Obliterate, Frost Strike, and Remorseless Winter, and your auto attacks. It's a bad sign when your damage over time spell for the not damage over time spec is doing some of the highest damage of your rotation. I think the most damaging abilities of Frost currently is auto attacks and Howling Blast, and Fever. Frost Fever, I think that's what it's called, yeah. Other than just the damage being very low compared to the other specs, I think the talents got a little fucked over. There were some good talents in Legion. I liked them. Now we have Cold Heart. I've talked about Cold Heart before. One, the BFA patch came out in Legion. Someone told me to run Cold Heart. It's pretty bad. So if you get 20 stacks of this, which takes, keep in mind, 40 seconds to accumulate, you're gonna do 14,000 damage with Chains of Ice, which isn't that bad. But 40 seconds to do 14,000 damage, not that great. Pretty much the only option I see here is an Inexorable Assault or Icy Talons. This row's not bad. I usually take Murder Sufficiency or Runic Attenuation. Asphyxiate. We have a stun now, but we have to spec into it. I'd like to disagree with that. I think most classes should have probably just at least one stun baseline. Of course, depending on what class it is, you might have to give or take that away. Specifically with Death Knights, I guess they thought the same thing, so they took that away. Along with our Wraith Walk and all of our, you know, awesome stuff. Frozen Pulse. I don't think Blizzard realizes how low 315 damage per auto attack is. That's really low. That is like... That's pretty much 110 coming into BFA in how much their dots hit for. I think Frozen Pulse should hit harder. Avalanche doesn't really do much damage. It does extra frost damage, but 1,000 frost damage every time you cast Howling Blast with the Rhyme proc isn't really that much. For this, it's just like it's a worse Obliterate that costs 1 rune. So I don't even have to talk about that really. So here's my pick about Frost DK. Other than the damage and the poor utility it brings to Arena and Battlegrounds in general, they made us pick between heals, mobility, and self-sustain. So, in case you don't know, we used to have Wraith Walk baseline for Death Knights in Legion. Now we don't. Now we have Death's Advance with its baseline, which you cannot be slowed below 70% of normal speed. Your movement speed is increased by 30% for 8 seconds, and you can't be slowed. But once this is over, your mobility's gone. You're just going to be slowed to shit. You have no self-heal since you're spec'd into either Wraith Walk or Permafrost, unless you're spec'd into Death Pact, which I'll get into a little bit. Pretty much our mobility's just out the door right now. It's like, look at our spellbook too. We have 1 page. Let's see how much of these spells are just normal spells that we actually use. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna count Death Grip. 4, 5. 5 abilities. Oh wait, Mimosa's Winter 6. So that's not counting like buffs or cooldowns or all that. I think we just don't have a lot of spells, and the spells that we do have don't do much damage. Obviously, my damage would be a lot higher if I had, you know, good weapons and more gear, and, you know, actual tank trinkets. But I think the general feeling of Death Knights right now is they just don't do damage. They're pretty much a shittier warrior or rat pally that has no gap closers. I mean, we have Death Grip, but we can't get to someone easy. We don't have Heroic Leap or Charge or Divine Steed and Freedom or Fell Dash or Sprint or Shadow Step or anything like that. We have nothing to get to a target. We have a really shitty sprint that makes us move a little bit faster. And you know what you do when a Death Knight just runs at you with this? I'll give you a hint. It's run the other direction, because he's only going to be moving barely above normal speed. So, on top of that, I think the bottom row is pretty bad. Breath of Sindragosa, I've liked it a lot. It's the one damaging spell that we have that actually does good damage. Obliteration, while Polar Frost is active, Frost Strike and Howling Blast always have a chance to give Killing Machine, which pretty much makes it so whenever you use your Frost Strike or Howling Blast, you'll generate a automatically critting Obliterate. It's not bad. Not bad. I mean, it's an okay talent. And the Ice Cap, I don't even want to talk about that. I've never used it, and I refuse to use it. They also took our artifact ability, put it into a 3-minute cooldown, which does 21,000 damage. Not bad, but 3-minute cooldown. That's what throws me off. Glacial Advance is pretty bad now. It is your Rune Spender, though, and it has a chance to do, I guess, a little bit more damage than Frost Strike, but you can miss, I believe, with this. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. It can miss, yep. This might be a little bit better. Shell glacial spikes from the ground that advance forward, each dealing 2,940 damage. So if you can somehow get multiple hits on this, then it might be good. But the fact that there's a cooldown on a rune generation ability, that's not good. Going over honor talents, I think honor talents are pretty weak too. I mean, this is just reduced cooldown on power rune weapon. This is increased crit chance whenever you are immobilized. I think when it comes to it, the most talents you're taking for honor talents are going to be the talents you have for every spec. So not the frost-specific honor talents, but more like Delirium, Decomposing Ore, Dark Simulacrum, Cadaverous Power, Heartstop Ore, all that jazz. Anti-Magic Zone. You're going to be taking not frost-specific honor talents, you're going to be taking general Death Knight talents, because the frost-specific talents are pretty bad. I don't even want to go into Unholy. Unholy's a little bit better. Unholy's the one spec I'm actually trying to make work right now, because I just have no desire to try and make Frost work, because it just brings me pain at this point. And now we'll get into the last spec. It's probably going to be one you guys aren't really expecting. I'll just hop on him. Alright. So for the last spec that I think is very poor performing right now in patch 8.1, or 8.0.1, sorry. It's Marksman. No shocker here. It was really good for a good amount of time. And that changed a decent bit. Pretty much Marksman was one-shotting things in the BFA pre-patch. Enough people complained about it to the fact that they nerfed it. And usually when that happens, when you nerf something in a pre-patch, it's going to be pretty bad in the actual patch that it's meant for. So that's kind of the case that happened with marksmanship. After you get your 2 aim shots off, and you get those 2 empowered arcane shots, your only abilities that you have to use are rapid fire, if it's not on cooldown. And then if you have these 2 on cooldown, guess what buttons you're going to be pressing, guys? These 2 buttons right here. So steady shot and arcane shot. I think, like, this is the best performing, sadly, out of all the specs I've listed that are really bad right now. I think it's just, it doesn't have anything to offer over the other specs. Survival has incredible burst damage, incredible dot pressure. They have a pet healing reduction, they have an undispellable trap, they have tons of stuff that just Marksman doesn't have to offer. Even with Beast Mastery, you don't have an undispellable trap, but you have really good damage, really good pressure. You have, I don't know, even Beast Mastery got nerfed. It's not like horrible to the point where Marksman's, in my opinion, horrible. But it's not, Beast Mastery isn't as good as it used to be, but it's still better than this pile of shit. So, going into talents, aim shot has 100% chance to reduce the focus cost of your arcane shot or multi-shot by 100%. Most of the time you're going to want to be taking Murder of Crows, honestly, because Murder of Crows is like the go-to thing. Whenever you see Murder of Crows for a hunter, you're going to want to take it. Going on over the third row, aim shot has a 50% chance to deal 50% chance. This used to be 80% chance, I believe, to deal 100% bonus damage to targets who are above 80% health or below 20%. So the one thing I will say is Marksman's really good at executing targets, so anyone below 20% health is probably going to die very easily. But 50% chance to do that. That's RNG. In RNG in a talent I don't agree with, personally. There's also Volley. I thought Volley sounded good in the BFA beta. The 10% chance is so low that it's not worth using. The fact that this only occurs above 80% health or below 20% health and has a chance to happen is what makes it not good. And there's Explosive Shot, which is the same thing it was in Legion. The other thing, Steady Focus or Streamline. Streamline is good in the fact that it makes you get more rapid fire shots off, which increases the damage of rapid fire. However, if you don't take Streamline, you're going to be losing the 40% reduced cast time on your Steady Shot, which is your most casted ability. Whenever you're not using Aim Shot or Rapid Fire, you're going to be using Steady Shot, and that happens a lot. A lot. So, pretty much just Steady Shot and Arcane Shot. That's the main reason I take Steady Focus over Streamline, but I think, Steady Focus is almost required these days. I'm not going to go over this because it's the same for every other row, or other spec. So this is the interesting row. Your next aim shot will fire a second time instantly at 100% power without consuming focus, or your next rapid fire will shoot 100% additional shots during its channel. 1 minute cooldown. This isn't that bad. I like this talent a lot. The thing is, you have to pick it over these two, and I do think these two are actually pretty good. They're not barrage, really. More lethal shots. Steady shot has a 25% chance to cause your next aim shot or rapid fire to be guaranteed critical strikes. Pretty much, I feel like this is almost required with the facts that you're just going to be spamming steady shots so much. I've seen a picture, and it was the top DPS of some mythic. It's not even relevant, I guess, because I'm talking PvP, but pretty much it was a marksman hunter doing DPS, and it was going over his pressed abilities. 60% of his presses were steady shot. I think 5% of them were aim shot. So that's, I don't know, that's a random fact. I think lethal shots is good because it literally gives you 100% increased crit chance, or a chance to give you guaranteed crit chance, which isn't that bad. I think aim shot should hit a little bit harder. Maybe 25,000 wouldn't be bad. Maybe 20,000 wouldn't be that bad with my current stats right now. The one thing I don't like about Marksman as well is that if you right-click a target, when you damage that target, that 50% damage bonus you get from aim shot, damage increased by 50% against a target you have not damaged yet. Pretty much if you auto-attack, you damage the target, any source of damage from you going to that target, you're going to be missing out on 50% damage. And most of the time this applies through auto shots. So it's kind of weird going from right-clicking all the time to, you know, left-clicking, because left-clicking won't make you auto-attack. So that's another gripe of mine. Other than that, I think the 10% damage buff from Lone Wolf's pretty bad. I'm pretty sure most people don't even use Lone Wolf because the pet damage makes up for the 10% damage you're losing whenever you do have Lone Wolf up. So pretty much you're going to be always using a healing reduction pet because that's pretty much required for Marksman in Arena. That, I just think the lack of spells makes this spec fucking god-awful. It's so boring. If you had the choice to play any spec, any marksman or hunter spec, it's definitely going to be survival. Way more buttons, way more utility, way more effectiveness, I'd say, in most PvP circumstances, and even beast mastery over marksman most days. But the one thing I do like about marksman is the 20% haste that you get from true shot, but that's like the only redeeming quality. I feel like the downtime on aim shot's just way too low. I feel like there shouldn't be a charges on aim shot. I don't know who came up with that idea. Whoever put charges on aim shot, oh my god. What are you doing? Why are you working at Blizzard? How did you get hired there? That's like the same thing. That's like the equivalent of taking aim shot and putting it on a talent tree and just not making it baseline anymore. It's almost as bad. It's almost as bad. I don't know why you'd give aim shot charges. I do, because it does a lot of damage, honestly, but the fact that it doesn't do much damage anymore, and the fact that it still has 2 charges, I don't know. I don't get it. I personally don't get it. Yeah, that's, in case you can't tell, I'm a little upset. I've been holding this in a little bit because, as I've said before, I like to try and play every spec. And I think this is the first kind of expansion in a long time that I just straight up don't enjoy some specs. And all the specs I just listed, I sincerely do not enjoy playing right now. And I know a lot of other people do not enjoy playing these specs. I had a friend who only played Death Knight. His name was Gore. God, I'm gonna cry, dude. He's gone. He quit the game. I used to BG with him like every day. One day he just stopped logging in, so I guess he just stopped playing, and I guess that's just because Death Knights suck now. And I'm guessing that's the only thing he had to play at max level. And no one wants to do that shitty fucking 1 to 120 grind because that takes 2 weeks to do. And everyone hates leveling now because it takes forever. But yeah, Gore's gone. I think there's specs that need change. Really big change. And I've mentioned this in another video. I do believe Halinka will hopefully work his magic on some of these classes, specifically the classes I just listed, because they are very, very, very boring to play right now, and they're performing horribly in PvP. So, I think when a game has classes or specs that most people on the forums or just general means of communication can agree that it's really bad, it's so bad that I don't want to play the game, or I'm switching to another class, I think that is a bad sign. And if that's not a clear enough sign for you, Blizzard, that something needs to change in your class theory or class development or whatever you want to call your class development of the past expansion, I don't know what will. Alright, anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. This was just a kind of gripey video. I don't blame you if you guys didn't like it. No one really likes to hear someone bitch for 30 minutes, so yeah. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you guys like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you guys want to subscribe to the channel, see more videos like this, please do so. There's a button below. Also, click the bell thing to be notified whenever I release videos or do live streams. And I live stream on Twitch every Thursday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what classes you guys think are performing very poorly, and if you agree with me, if you agree that these classes are very bad, or specs specifically. I keep on saying classes, I mean to say specs. If you think these specs are poor, that I just mentioned, let me know. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys some other time.